So when Odell Beckham gets traded, I look at the Giants and I'm like, oh, 2 first-round picks. You can get a left tackle. For you, trading Odell Beckham was an emotional experience as a Giants fan.
To say the least, it was an emotional experience. I've discussed on this show the shenanigans, the fights, all the detrimental things Odell Beckham has done. But Eli Manning has not been able to test drive the Ferrari, which is Odell Beckham, for the last 2 seasons. When they traded him, knowing that we have this beautiful purple Ferrari, it's probably an addition of 5.
Right.
And despite the fact that he's driven me nuts, this is one of the best football players in the league.
He's certainly one of the most gifted, yes.
Yes. The last 2 seasons, no one has been able to give him the ball. So we have a Ferrari that vroom, vroom, every now and then you got to take it out there and run its engine. Otherwise, it's going to waste. So next year, 2 things are going to happen. We're going to be reminded of the Ferrari that is Odell Beckham.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield's going to be running around. Odell Beckham's going to be scrambling, extending plays. That's a Ferrari.
No, I'm not doubting that at all. I think Baker and Odell runs the best slant pattern in the league, and Baker's very accurate at the slant pattern. They're going to have fun together.
They're going to have fun. So the way it happened, the fact that it happened when I was taking a nap, same thing happened during the Porzingis trade, but has nothing to do with while we were out. For some reason, I can't take a nap without somebody humongous being traded.
Out of your New York teams.
I have no idea. So yes, I was upset. I was concerned, and the fact that we got rid of Odell Beckham and didn't get 5 quarterbacks also is concerning to me, because right now we don't have Odell Beckham, we don't have a Ferrari.
Right.
We have
now you don't have a driver.
We got a Mack truck in the backfield. Saquon Barkley. Thank you to me. I came on this show, argued with you, and I said draft him.
Yeah.
He showed improvement. They're going to be stacking the box on our Mack truck now because we don't have a Ferrari. We got a Mack truck. We know the Mack truck is coming, so that's going to take away from him. Especially with the fact that we're going to be starting the season with a guy who the sentimentality is in me. I am emotional. Me and my father, we almost shed a tear on the phone the other day talking about Eli Manning.
How much you love him?
Well, how much we loved. It's in the past. He's the only guy on the team that's still with the Giants that was part of that Super Bowl roster.
Yeah.
Are we going to bring back Michael Strahan? Well, let's bring it back Strahan. Let's keep celebrating what happened almost 20 years ago.
See, this is why about 3 years ago I bailed on Eli. I know his brother Cooper. I think Peyton's one of the best players I've ever seen. I've met Eli 10 times. I've loved him every time I had him on the show. But as an accountant, it's just about value declining, rising. You're emotional. By the way, with LeBron and Kobe, were you more a LeBron or a Kobe guy?
Kobe.
Okay. Kobe has mastered basketball and projects.
Yes.
I made an argument earlier today. LeBron has thrown them all together, and I think it's hurt him. I think he's distracted. I think it's sapped energy. I think he's worried about too many things. I think he came to Hollywood and let it use him, and Kobe used Hollywood. He said no a lot, took very few projects, dinners, meetings, and Kobe figured out Hollywood because he was here for years. He was never desperate. LeBron feels like when you go on vacation and you have 6 days, and you try to do everything in 6 days. Okay, we're going to go on the roller coasters. We're going to go to the beach. LeBron jams everything into like 4 months in Hollywood. It's the vacation where you should have just either done less or had more time. LeBron looks distracted to me.
This has been, listen, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me again, shame on me. I came on this show, said they're going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. I bought the Kool-Aid. And the Kool-Aid stained my shirt. I have Kool-Aid stained on my face. I thought they were going to do it. I thought he was going to do it. This year has been a disaster from the beginning of the season when they lost the first 3 games, one of which is giving up 143 points to the Spurs, to hugging CP3 when Rondo spit in his face, to serenading Kyrie Irving and singing to him, which made Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Dave Cowens, and Bob Cousy cry and feel ashamed, to leading Anthony Davis astray. Rich Paul is his agent. Right. LeBron James might as well be his agent. He led Anthony Davis astray. Because you don't think Anthony Davis just came out of nowhere and said, trade me, without consulting his agent, who's pretty much LeBron James. This has been a disaster. This has been a disaster across the board. And whether or not he can multitask or not, based on what we saw this year, you can't. It's just been one thing after another.
You've lived in Hollywood. I've seen, in the 4 years I've lived in L.A., I've seen it literally implode careers. You have to use Hollywood.
Yes.
You cannot let it use you. And here's what it uses you. Because if you're famous, everybody wants to meet with you, take you to dinner, put you on their project. And you have to learn to say, nah.
And Kobe, the real famous people do that.
And Tom Hanks says no all day.
Kobe Bryant, you think when he was playing, you see him at the Chateau, whatever it is?
No, Kobe was the biggest star in L.A. for about 9 years. He had 1 million projects. He said no to 99%. LeBron's got 15 projects this year. It's like, dude, and none of them are great. They're all just
they're propaganda projects.
They're just like, it's like Kobe's like, I'll take 2. I'll make them both great. Kids book, New York Times bestseller. Short film, win an Oscar. Like, you got to say no because Hollywood will offer you the world if you're famous because everybody wants to jump on board famous and ride the roller coaster and they want to ride you. And LeBron just said yes to too much stuff.
You don't think that Leonardo DiCaprio could put his name on 17 different half-cooked, half-baked projects if he wanted to by tomorrow? Of course he could.
He doesn't.
Of course he doesn't.
Tom Hanks could say yes all day. He says yes once a year to Spielberg.
Exactly. This has been a disaster of a year. What's going to happen next year? I don't know, but I don't think there's any big free agents coming here.
I agree. I agree with you. I think Kyrie's actually the best fit. By the way, Bill Simmons, you guys are tight, right, or something? I never see him.
No, I mean, yeah, what would he say?
He says, bet the house, Kevin Durant is going to New York.
Oh, really?
I think it
Based on what? Based on what he said that? Who cares that he said that?
Well, I think they know each other.
I don't think Kevin Durant said anything to Bill Simmons about where he's going. I bet the house on that. And let me tell you something. Listen, everybody's throwing around their sources and bet the house. I ain't betting no houses. And who cares what he says? I could say I bet the house that he ain't.
I will say this. If Kevin Durant goes, now I said this the other day, we were doing our show prep. In the history of American sports, find a star athlete who left a brilliantly run franchise to a poorly run franchise and it worked. You can't find one. It's not about money. Sports if you look at all sports, who owns it, who runs it, okay, the Warriors are arguably, Houston's up there, Boston, are the best run NBA franchise. I know you're a Knicks fan. It's not a brilliantly run franchise. Kevin Durant, who has business savvy, would be like me going from Fox, which has a history of Fox News, The Simpsons, Fox Sports, and going to a sports network that is fledgling, that has failed. You don't leave, regardless of your talent. Great management for poor management.
LeBron did that.
Well, Cleveland wasn't. No, Cleveland wasn't.
How many number 1 overall picks did Cleveland get while LeBron was gone?
Yeah, but they butchered half of them.
Yeah, but they got Kyrie.
Yeah, but they weren't well run.
That's what I'm saying. They're not well run. He went back and won a championship.
That's LeBron James in his prime of primes
Kevin
of primes.
Durant's the best player in the NBA right now.
But by the way, so LeBron went from well-run Miami to poorly run Cleveland, and despite the fact it was his hometown, he bailed.
But he did get a championship.
Well,
he showed improved.
But they were one
and they're back to what they were.
Listen,
but he did get a championship.
I would love.
Durant's not going to New York.
Listen. I would love nothing more than Kevin Durant and the rest of them all to come to New York. But you know what's a sexy option too?
What?
Brooklyn is in the house without a doubt. Brooklyn is a cool, sexy, young borough. That team is cool. They got cool players. If you're the king of Brooklyn basketball, I mean, that's pretty cool. Coming to Los Angeles and taking over L.A. as a Clipper, that's pretty cool too. That being said, he would look gorgeous in that orange and blue. But I don't think there's betting the houses. I think a lot is going to have to do with how they wind up in the playoffs if they win the championship. I think if they win the championship, he's definitely leaving. I think if they lose, I don't think he's going to leave because I think it's going to be the same sort of thing like the Oklahoma City thing.
Michael Rapaport, he's emotional. I'm not. We're done. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.